Hi, everyone. Heather Williams here with the California AfterSchool Network for another Fireside Chat. As usual, joined by Michael Funk from CDE, the Director of the Expanded Learning Division. And today we are excited to be talking to you all with Elevo, a CBO, community-based organization, and one of their partners, Palmdale School District. So happy to have all of you all on. We'll have you all introduce yourselves individually in a few minutes. And we'll jump into that in just a minute. I think, Michael, we have pretty quick policy updates today. So I think last time we chatted, we gave everybody updates on AB 2501 and 2507. Those were two different bills moving that would impact our expanded learning opportunities programs and just expanded learning in general in California. And neither one of those bills made it out of the Senate Appropriations Committee. So for all intents and purposes, that basically means those bills are won't be moving forward at this time. So that's one of the major legislative updates. And Michael, I'll turn it over to you for other updates.
Well, greetings, everyone. In the last few days of August, it's hard to believe. And for most of you already started up with your school year. So I hope that's going well and wish you all the best. There's a lot going on and a lot we cannot yet quite talk about because there's what's called a cleanup bill to the budget trader bill. The budget trader bill came out earlier this summer, which covered a lot of things that needed to be adjusted or added or fixed with the ELO program in a legislation that was passed over a year ago. And of course, now there's a cleanup to the trader bill, which has further fine-tuning, more precision, and things to pay attention to. That bill came out on Friday. It is Assembly Bill 185, Assembly Bill 185. You can look that up, and the ELO-P section is section 29. You can see there's a lot of the amendments are very technical, and they try to clarify like what constitutes a non-school day. And there's some language about Saturdays being inclusive, except for Saturdays that fit this definition. We're still going through a lot of that since it just came out on Friday. And there will be frequently asked questions addressed. We have a list of about 23 FAQs that have been going through various levels and channels and legal review. And as these things go, it takes a while to get through, but we're hoping we're a few weeks out from posting those. And in essence, catching up some of our FAQs that were posted over a year ago with changes that have taken place in the language. So with that, it's all good news. We just love having programs on that really demonstrate what's possible and the commitment to doing what our families need and deserve. And I happen to be visiting a program at Stockton Unified many months ago, and was on the site visit, and the site coordinator was, hold on. Sorry, folks, busy day at the house. So the site coordinator was taking me through and see, I want you to come see this program that's out of working on. And so she brought me out, and there's a bunch of young people in the playground, and I could tell because I've been around these programs for over 30 years. It was a well-structured program, well-run. Kids were engaged, staff was engaged. You just could tell this was the kind of atmosphere that is represented by a high-quality program. And she said, "This is Alebo," and they've been a lifesaver for us because the way they've helped bring on staff when we couldn't find enough staff and run a quality program. And I didn't know it at the time, but it's the program that I knew years ago as Sports for Learning. And so, that encounter led to me reconnecting with Nick, one of the founders, and reconnecting with staff. And we just said, hey, there's some good stories here, some good things for people to hear about. Maybe we can have you on a fireside chat. And that brings us to today. And I asked them to invite one of their school district leaders who has been a good partner and demonstrated what managing and running a good quality ELO program looks like and feels like. And so we have Kelly from Palmdale. Is it Palmdale Unified, Kelly?
It's just Palmdale School District. We're a
Palmdale School
K-8,
District.
TK through 8th grade
All right.
district. We have about over 17,000 students here.
Great. Well, I wanted to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. And Kristen, I'd like you to start, introduce yourself, and then tell us a little bit about this story of Sports for Learning and Alebo.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Reilly. I am the Vice President of Operations for Alebo Learning, so I oversee all of our field operations. As Michael was saying, we were Sports for Learning, and then last October, we decided to do a brand change and a name change. The big reason behind that is Sports for Learning was great for what we were doing, but as we've evolved and as we've grown, we've gone so much farther than just sports. And so we really wanted to give ourselves a brand and a name that represented everything we do now. And so we thought about, what do we do as an organization? And we thought, we come into schools, we bring near peer mentors, we provide social emotional learning through movement. And our goal is to elevate students. We want to elevate students. We want to elevate schools. We want to elevate communities. So we came up with the name Alebo, so Latin for elevate. So that represents who we are and what we do right now.
Thank you, Kristen. And Janelle, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on this meeting today. My name is Janelle Ho. I am the Senior Talent Manager here at Alebo. And what I predominantly do is work with all of the school districts who do have a need for our help, and to help find those top coaches who believe what we believe in, which is having happy, healthy students who want to come back to school every single day. So I'm really excited to really meet all these different coaches that we have all over California, especially here in Palmdale. So thank you again for having me here.
Yeah, Adan, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. My name's Adan Rodriguez. I'm Operations Manager for the High Desert, so Palmdale area. And I help implement our structure to the community's needs and help implement everything we can for our students going forward.
And tell us about how you work with Kelly, then turn it over to Kelly just to talk about her work at Palmdale.
Yes, so with Kelly and myself, we've been able to implement our structure to the needs of Palmdale School District. With being such a wide and diverse community, we find that there's certain processes that work for us and their needs. So just trying to pinpoint those areas and building a structure that's going to lead to the future.
Yeah, Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly Jensen. I'm the Director of Curriculum Instruction for elementary grades for the Palmdale School District. I was currently helping with the ACES grant, and now I've taken on the role of the ELO-P. I have Adan is my new best friend. We communicate often, so he's been not just a great partner, but a great friend. And so I just appreciate that everything he does for Palmdale, helping us run this program. We have 24 school sites currently that are working that have ELO-P, an after-school program, and we have over 2,000 students, and it's growing. So we're working on that. So we just appreciate their partnership and all they do with us.
Kelly, as you've been working with Adan and the organization, how would you best describe your dream, your vision for if this goes 100% the way you want it to? What do children experience, and what happens with your families and schools as a result?
Well, I think the social emotional piece is very important. as you know, we've had students return to school and we're seeing a big need for that in classrooms and after school. I was really excited to see that when we would be doing an after school program, it wouldn't be a lot of extra homework, although we do provide the homework help, of course, but it's just different programs, things that they're not getting during their regular day. So what I like about Alebo is they're doing things like we are doing sports, we are having kids play outside, we are having them interact and do games and working on that social emotional piece as well. So what I would really like to see is that, number one, that our families feel that we have a safe environment for their students, that they can leave them in our campuses, knowing that they're well taken care of and that they don't have that worry. And that's helping with our parents and our community with their social emotional piece as well, knowing that they're dropping their students off to a safe environment. What we need as a district is we enjoy that we can communicate with them. We've had a few glitches, of course, because it's a new program for all of us, and we went big fast. So having that partnership where you can reach out and not just say, this is what I want or this what needs to work. I mean, I work with Adan mostly here in this room today. And what I like about that is we can collaborate and figure out like what works for their program, what works for our program, what things are going great, what are things that we need to improve on, what's going great. So we have that back and forth dialogue. So that's very important so that we can have a really well-run program for our students in our community.
I appreciate you sharing that specifically because we do run into leaders from school districts who basically have some partners, but it's almost a transactional relationship. It's like, you come in and do this piece, but it's going to be our program. We're going to do it. And what I hear is describing a true partnership and collaborative work. And I also want to point out, Kelly, it's not lost on me that you're a director of curriculum and instruction.
Thank you.
And you're talking about student support, social emotional development, and oftentimes that's left over to the student support side of the house, right? And the way that you're clearly articulating a vision for how kids learn, right? They learn socially and emotionally. They need all that kind of support, and so it ties in. Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, if I could add to what you just said, we have lots of students who live in they don't live in like houses where they have big backyards and things like that. We do have some that do, of course, but we have some that aren't running, playing a ball outside of their neighborhood, riding their bicycles and those things. So for us, it's really big that our kids are outside running around, playing games, learning how to work with one another. In an age of technology when kids are texting and doing things like that, we also want them to be having some dialogue and developing friendships as well. So when we talk about the social and emotional piece, that's really important piece for me. I feel like we do a good day teaching all day long. They get to come and be kids after school. So I think that's really important.
Awesome. I'm glad we're recording that statement. Janelle, hey, one of the things that I've heard from more than one person was Alebo does a great job recruiting staff. How many staff do you call them coaches, but how many staff do you have statewide? And tell us what are some of the things that you're finding, strategies you're finding success with? Because so many people are saying we can't find enough staff. So what's your secret?
Well, right now, I think we have close to about 2,000 coaches statewide, which has been a big growth, from the beginning when I started and we had about 60 coaches. And I think a big secret of ours is really, not looking for people who are looking for a job, but looking for people who believe that it's important that these kids today do learn a little bit about what they are feeling and given the resources to be able to express themselves. When they're upset, they don't need to cry and tell us. They can use their words through the games that we play with so they can give that back to us. And I think really shifting our mindset from offering jobs to kind of finding those like-minded people really made a huge change in how we're able to recruit. And of course, I think knowing the job market today, it's not so much they're lining up to work with us, but really, how are we explaining what we do here to be able to attract those candidates? So I think it's a little bit of a switch around with the roles that we play, but I think, again, bringing it back to the why and what we do is the key to the success.
And I think if you don't mind, if I piggyback on that, I think, where Alebo has an advantage is we have a team of close to 70 people that are just focused on coach recruitment. So we put resources into recruitment that a lot of, districts, just given their bandwidth, don't have the ability to support. We also foster really strong relationships with universities and colleges throughout the state. So we have professors that we can go to. We have college readiness offices that we go to, career readiness offices that we work with. So for example, when we talk about partnering perhaps with, Fresno Unified, we can talk to our partners at Fresno State or Fresno Pacific. So that way we already have candidates lined up that we know want to do internships with us or want to work with us. So really just the resources that it takes to effectively recruit is something that we are very fortunate to have, and we've invested a lot in at Alebo.
Thank you, Kristen, for adding.
So I've said many times when I've heard people say, I'm not going to list a bunch of company brand names, but they'll list 4 or 5 brand names and say we can't compete with these companies because of the benefits and what they're paying. And I've said often, then you're not competing with them. You should be offering a person a chance to have a gateway to a career of purpose, a gateway to making a difference in society, not just paying your bills. And I'm just wondering, what tactics, without giving away any, well, no, I want you to give away your secrets. What specific tactics or messages do you use and say to hook people with that kind of sense of well-being and purpose for their life?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I think a great way to put it is to have them think about a young person in their lives and to see, the world that we're in right now and what do they hope for the young people in their lives to be able to see and learn and have when they're at our age or older, is one of the ways to kind of, we like to have them start thinking about it and to break down a little bit of what their goals are as well, to see how both of them match and align with what we do here. Because as Alebo, we're elevating schools and our students, and I think coaches are also a big focus of ours too, because whether or not they retire with Alebo, but they'll leave with an everlasting experience that just translates into so many useful skills in other arenas in their life that they'll be able to utilize.
Yeah, very powerful.
And I think
If I could jump in really quick, I'm sorry. One of the things I like about our partnership is we've had some people that maybe wasn't an exact fit, maybe at a school site, not within necessarily the organization, but at a site. And so they've been really great partners of really listening to our needs. And so it's not like they're just out recruiting and sticking people at a school site. And then it's kind of saying like, here's what you have. This is what we're offering you. We've really had that partnership to say, I don't know that this person's such a great fit over here. And it's not that we're letting them go or anything. We're just making some adjustments. So that's been really important to our program. So I just want to say that when she's talking about talent and finding people, she's not just hiring people. And if things aren't a good fit, we can make adjustments. So that I really appreciate that as well.
And I think, Michael, you had said previously about, growing coaches and finding the right people to put in the right places. And I think for us, when we think about staffing our programs, we think about growing community. So I think Adan's a perfect example, right? Adan, grew up in the community that he started as a regional manager, and now he's an operational manager, and he has a relationship with a lot of the principals in Palmdale because that's where he's from. And I think for us, that's what we really focus on when we look for coaches. We want to bring coaches in that attended the elementary schools that they're working at, that can be role models for these students and show, when you work hard, what you can achieve, and then giving those coaches a path for growth in their careers and teaching leadership skills and, skills that will take them, like Janelle said, whether they stay with Alebo or whether they take those skills and they blossom somewhere else. We want to give those coaches every opportunity to be successful within their communities and to grow.
So Adan, hope your heart's feeling good right now. Kelly obviously has a deep amount of respect and trust and relationship with you. What's important to you in terms of your partnership working with Kelly and the other Kellys of districts, and what can you share with others to help them have that kind of relationship?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for all those lunches. I mean, that's great to hear, especially being from the community. I really am one of the few, at least I believe, that I see around, but that we believe our community is really what is going to make our future better. So having that opportunity where you can connect with, like we say, these coaches or staff or kids that went to these elementary schools and now get the chance to help bridge the future, through COVID. COVID was a big setback for a lot of people. And in this community, you really saw people start to just tighten their surroundings because they weren't sure what was going on. So being able to work with Kelly and Janelle and saying, hey, we want to make sure that the childhood that we had in our community is even better with these kids. So just working with that partnership just allows us to kind of, go to the future and get back to the times before COVID and, see these kids smiling outside, enjoying their friends, not feeling like, oh my God, I can't do anything, like so many did for 2 years pretty much.
Heather, I'll turn it back to you after one. I want to go back to Kelly though, because Kelly, I think there's something I'd like to explore with you, which is, you're like the liaison between these community partners and a whole school district culture, principals, teachers, people negotiating space. Classrooms are often territorial at some level.
Oh, yes.
So
I've made a lot of mistakes too. I've made some, so I can try to
Yeah.
help people not step in some stuff, but
yeah, please go ahead.
well, before we started the program, we really had to have some real deep discussions with our principals. And the gist of it is, we're going to be doing this program and you will be giving space. And that is going to be a priority. And so we did tell them that, they'd have to work with their classroom teachers. And then we have the issue a little bit of, hey, we've already had these after school programs in the past, and can we still do them? And what's going to happen? So we've had to go back and do some other conversations recently about, yes, we can work through all that. However, this space belongs to our ELO-P first. For example, at one site, Adan knows we have one site that wants to run him out of the cafeteria right now, right? Because they want to bring on something else. And we're like, no, we actually feed our students dinner. So we need that space. So just working with that, I try to take on that role of working with the principals when it comes that. I like him to tell me so that I can work with the principals, because they have to have a relationship with the school. So I have a relationship and in my role, so I can kind of be the person that gives that kind of news. So otherwise it's very hard on the relationship. They have to be the go-to people and the people that are coming to visit the space. So I have to have those conversations. We've had to have, recently, we've just sent out an email that we have to buy more storage, that they have to have places to have more storage. So we're currently working on getting more storage space for people, buying things like rolling cabinets and those types of things, so that our clubs can keep their stuff separate and have a place that they can have their things. Other things we're ordering currently is we're working on buying radios for all of our sites, so that they can have communication with the district office, something strange could happen. There could be an emergency. There could be something like a child doesn't get picked up. we have protocols, but we really don't want to have them call a sheriff's department if a kid's not ever getting picked up. That's happened before at an after school program. I was 8 o'clock at night somewhere. So we like to have them that they can have that communication with us if something should happen, if there's an emergency and things like that. So those are just some kind of the things that we've been working on. But having space, you have to have that conference with your principals and your staff prior to them coming and saying, hey, this is going to be big and it could get bigger. So what are some things that are going to be happening? So I was a principal when we had an ACES grant. So I know what that's kind of all about. I know the ones that you can say, can we use the space? And then you have to have some conversation saying, we're going to be using your space. So you have the can we, and then you have the we are going to be using your space. So you sometimes have to have those conversations that the school is belonging to the community overall. So so you just have to know your principles and how you're going to have to work and have those conversations. Some you just have one conversation, some you have to have a few conversations. So you have to have someone that's willing to have those conversations. And it's been fine, really. But having that pre-conference and you have to talk about space before you just bring on a program.
Sounds like leadership to me.
Well, Kelly, really appreciate you being an advocate for this program. I mean, it's evident from everything you've just shared, right? That this is, ELO-P it's a program, but it's more than a program. And it's clear you see the value of that and are advocating for that in partnership. And I know that makes a big difference.
It just sort of worked out as well because we have a new bell schedule this year, right? With all the times that have been changing, with all the new starting school later. So we've had to flip it here because of that. So our middle schools start later than they used to start earlier. So we had all these new bell schedules. So you find parents that are so all of a sudden stuck in this, my student used to get out of school at 4 or 3:30 or 3 or whatever time it was. And now they're getting out at 1:58 in some cases. I mean, for some, one case in general, it was like 3:23. Now it's 1:58. That's a big jump. When I have to support my family, I need to have my student taken care of. I'm, maybe my job is I barely, with food prices and everything and all of these things that are going on, we have to make it where this is a great opportunity for our students. And you got to present it that way. You have to present it to your staff. The community is going to be on board, but your staff, you sort of have to say, well, you're not willing. This is exciting. We get to take care of our kids and have them at our school. We're feeding them dinner. Our kids go get breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner. That just they don't have to go home and do homework. That's a whole other subject. Homework causes stress to families.
Wow.
You go home and have some good family time because good quality family time is important. This is a way that we can help support families in the evening time.
I think, Kelly, you're just going to be the spokesperson for this program. I love it. And as we're getting close to needing to wrap up, so kind of as we usually do, I like to ask everybody to take a moment and maybe provide some sort of piece of advice to someone that's in a similar position to you across the state and kind of navigating the opportunities and challenges that you're navigating right now. And Kelly, you shared a lot of great advice. So hard to probably narrow it down to one thing, but how about we start with you and then we'll turn it over to the Alebo team. But what would you share with someone in your current?
Well, I know that a lot of people are struggling getting the program going. So I would say a couple of things. First of all, narrow your focus. We have 3 clubs that we work with. Don't get too big because if you do, you can't navigate all of this. Build some relationships with those clubs or a few like Alebo, and don't make it too broad because you have everyone coming at you. I want to do a dance team. I want to do this. I want to do this. You will, if you want to make everyone happy and bring on too many programs at once, you won't be able to navigate through all this. It's too much. You won't be able to develop those programs and you won't be able to just do it. That's my advice. My other one is you don't have to do ELO-P, you get to do ELO-P. And and it's important to your families. So that would just be my 2 pieces of really big advice.
Thanks, Kelly. And yeah, now I'll love that advice. I hope everybody heard that and took it to heart. And I'll turn it over to the Alebo team, whoever's ready to start with their advice. Kristen?
Sure. I think my advice is, through my experience in hearing what districts and schools are struggling with right now, when it comes to figuring out programs, like, trust your partners, trust that when we say we can come in and we can make a really big difference to your district, to your schools, to your communities, to your families, like, believe in what we say. And going back to what Kelly said, as far as don't let things get too big, she's absolutely correct. When you think about partnering with different organizations, think of who can bring the most to your school and the most to your students, because that's the #1 priority. Is we all have the same goal, is putting students first and making sure they're getting the best possible experience every single day. And that when they're going home, they're leaving school with a positive feeling about themselves, who they are, and where they're returning to the next day. So use your partners and use your resources to really make a difference in everything you're doing.
Awesome. More solid advice. How about Janelle? You want to go next, and then we'll close out with Adan?
Sure. Yeah. And if you are a district who does get to work with our Alebo coaches, I think really making those coaches a part of your family. I see the most success across the districts where coaches feel like they're a part of the school and not just another vendor or another staff member there, but they feel like they're part of the community. And I see it go miles, where they can come in and make the front office smile, and the same vice versa. And it makes it a really great partnership. So that's my big advice.
Adan?
Yeah, I would just say don't be afraid to adapt. I mean, I think we've seen that just because you have a structure for everything, sometimes it just doesn't work for a certain school or a certain area. So don't be afraid to reach out to your partners and just try to see what works. Always be open-minded, because sometimes it's just a little twist that might be needed in certain situations to extend to even further.
Great advice as well. Thank you all for coming on and joining us today, and for modeling partnership and collaboration. We really, we talk about that, and it's not easy. We're not going to pretend like that's a simple process, but you all are doing a really great job of modeling that partnership, that community-based partnership that is providing, meeting the needs and providing really good opportunities for our students and our families and communities. So much appreciation from me for you all coming on and joining us, but more importantly, for the work you all are doing day to day. And we know there's still a lot of questions out there in the field, and challenges and opportunities that y'all are navigating. So office hours are about to kick off again, where folks can jump on our office hours. I'll make sure that's when we send this out, the link to register for that's available, so folks can, come and be in a space and find out the latest updates, but also share their questions and what they're learning and whatnot with one another. So highly recommend that. And as we're just about to wrap up, Michael, I'll turn it over to you.
What I appreciate about today is all of you have been really clear about what it means to work together in relationship in support of students and their families. And Kelly, you can expect me to be calling on you again. I've got several gems that you've said today. One of my favorites is one that I've tried to use on my kids. Like, okay, you don't have to take the garbage out, but you get to take the garbage out. So it's probably not the best example, but like, we still have a lot of folks out there who are grumbling about the fact that they've got to put this ELO-P program together. And you've been so clear, all of you, about what being student-centered means in action. And I'll tell you, on the office hours, as Heather knows, we often get very nuanced questions, and people can start to circle down a rabbit hole and start to imagine all the things that where they could maybe not get everything exactly right, and they start getting tied up in the rules and they get paralyzed. And I didn't sense any of that today. I'm not saying there's not struggles. Kelly, you and I had a conversation Friday.
It's
where-
been hard. I don't want to make it sound like it's been easy. It's been very, very difficult task. So I want people to know that too, to be transparent. It's hard. We've grumbled a few times just because it's a lot of work. And you feel like, you've heard the saying, you're flying the plane as you're building it. We've been kind of doing that, but you can't build it by yourself. So.
And it is hard. No sugarcoating that. And the phrase I use every fireside chat is lead with love. And leading with love is hard work. It's the hardest work. It's that when things get tough and you find yourself grumbling and you get stuck in something, leading with love means you find a way to move through it in partnership, collaboratively, so your children and families have the support that they need and deserve. And that's what I heard today. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to be on our fireside chat. Heather, thanks always for a great partnership with you and the California AfterSchool Network. And I wish you all a beautiful end of August.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.